Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you might be. I hope that you're able to catch on to this. I wasn't going to go live for a while. This is actually my very first live for the very first new year. January of 2023. Yay! I wish it were on better terms. I had been thinking about going live for a while, kind of playing with it, and really not wanting to do it because I haven't felt like going live was beneficial for anybody. But it has come to my attention that something needs to be said. Now I'm saying coffee chat. I actually have coffee and I am actually getting ready to go for a chat here because I was asked to come live and share an issue that many of us face. Now, bullying. Everybody knows bullying happens when you're a kid. It happens when you're in childhood. It's normal, to have childhood. But in fact, I don't know if today, I've got to imagine that it happens today to children online more often than it did when I was a kid, online didn't exist. So, hey, but I do know that bullying did exist. But old school bullying was out on the playground or in the classroom or teachers. I had bullying happen to me to the point that I was ready to give up in life. And you might be asking, well, Scarlett, where are you really going with this? Quite simply put, I am going into something actually kind of sad, kind of real. I have actually witnessed and been recently bullied. And when I first was talking about this, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I've gotten so used to being pushed around, bullied, and caused issues and so on that, I've thought nothing about it. But in reality, I looked at it I couldn't figure out why I was feeling so icky. Now, with fibromyalgia, it can be brought on by bullying, by stressors, by triggers, by all this stuff, and not just fibromyalgia, but other health issues, that a wide variety of different issues can be brought up because of these particular things. So I couldn't understand for this month why I've been feeling kind of icky, drug out, not being able to do much of anything, why I haven't done many posts on this channel. I just couldn't figure it out. And there was someone that was very humble and open with me. And he was saying, this isn't right. This isn't right. And Bryce, I have to say thank you so much for, really making a stand on this and really getting me to pay attention, because without you, I have been pushed around and bullied so much that I probably would have said nothing. And in this case, nothing is unacceptable. When you go to church, you don't want to be bullied. You want to be loved, and that should be the one safety net that you should be able to go to feel connection and to feel communications and so on. Now, I had to really think on this because I didn't even realize how much bullying I have been going through. And maybe you can relate to this, I've been bullied through school. I've been bullied in relationships, and I've been bullied in church. And I didn't even realize it until I really thought about it, until I really sat down and really thought about how much I'd been bullied. Now, I have a question for you. How much have you been bullied? I mean, think about it, really. I mean, being blocked in a chat, in a well-known chat, where you are able to communicate, ask prayer requests, and so on, you should be able to feel free to share with each other. You should be able to feel free, that connection, without fear of being blocked. And in this particular case that I'm talking about is the Hour of Power place on their live chat. It's been manually blocked. And anybody who brings up my name or Bryce's name ends up getting blocked. Anybody who brings up a way to connect with us gets blocked. Anybody who talks about something else gets blocked. And, it's really sad because we actually have friends, that are like in Germany. Yeah, Germany, Deutsch. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, the people who are in charge of that are young kids. Now, young kids of this generation, they use the chat as their playground. And it took me a while to really bring this all in. And I've been thinking about it overnight. I mean, to the point that I lost my sleep a bit. Because I thought, how can I process this? Because Bryce asked me to go live and to share so that Kai can reach out, so that Jeezy can reach out, so that Jody can reach out, so that anybody within that chat line can come here and feel free to say PTL or praise the Lord, or hey, I have a prayer request. Can you please help me with this? Hey, can you just think about this? Hey, can you just share about this? And that's what I want this to be about. Now, I know this is absolutely cray-cray because I tried this once before to go live for a prayer line, for a chat line, etc. And this one didn't seem to work. So I'm trying it again. Now, I'm going live. And I went live at 10:20, just after 10:20 this morning, Pacific Standard Time on Tuesday. So I want you to tell me a better time for you to go live so that I can go live and we can actually have a true chat. Now, granted, it's going to be a slow process because I do not have a lot of subs. But I want to get the word out that free speech does exist here. And zero toleration to bullying. If you want to share something, go on ahead. Let me know. Hell, I may even invite it right here on the channel. If you want something to be shared, let me know. I may just say, hey, somebody's got something going on and share it here. Because that's how I want it to be open. Zero tolerance to bullying. Because fibromyalgia, any health issues, you know that fibromyalgia is just a cover-up? Yeah, just a cover-up. Depression, sleep disorders, allergies, food issues, emotional issues, triggers, stressors, they can all lead to fibromyalgia. Now, I was asked to be vulnerable, so I'm going to be very blunt and vulnerable, okay? And I'm live, so I'm going to just take a little bit longer than I normally do, okay? First and foremost, the people that I just mentioned, Bryce has requested that, and I am totally game with anybody who does this because I have put it where your stuff has to be monitored, and I have to make sure that it's okay for privacy. But Bryce made a very valid point. You can block anybody who doesn't respond. To go on ahead and leave your email if you want people to contact you. If you have a social media, leave it there. In fact, Bryce recommends highly to the Deutsch to please Instagram. But I had to remind him, you have to print in Deutsch, or Germany. In German, you have to write it. It's easier for them to understand. Plain and simple. But that's okay. That's just a upfront point that I want it to be welcome communication here. Communicate your social media handles, whatever you feel to connect and interconnect with people. I want this to be a free space. Fibromyalgia sufferers need that connection. They really do. I mean, if you disagree, let me know, but seriously. So, here's my next vulnerable state. And it totally correlates with this. It's also how the beginnings of how I ended up with fibromyalgia in the first place. Yeah. See, when I was back younger, as I had mentioned, I'd been bullied a lot. I mean, school bullying, teachers, students alike. And I found refuge in church. In fact, I can honestly say the church saved me. Because if I hadn't had the church, I would not have been able to get anywhere. And I need to be more specific because the church, it was the people, the love of their hearts that came out and they heard me. And it was the Bible. I got my nose in that Bible. And I read. And I took it to heart. I didn't understand all of it. I mean, shoot, I was only 12 years old. But I still read it because I found acceptance. I could do whatever I wanted and it was okay because it was Bible. And being a bookworm does help. I did enjoy anything I could read. Granted, I didn't read at my normal level, but that's okay. So church saved me. And then I found theater and I found choir and I found bell choir. I just found a love for it, and I learned to play piano, and I learned to play the flute, and I've learned to play different instruments and so on. And it was an outlet for me. Creativity has definitely been a strong suit for me. And by the time I was giving up, they discovered that I was almost 2 years behind, but not far enough behind for them to pull me back a year. So my mom got smart and pulled me into another school where I had no idea what was about to happen. See, this is how miraculous things happen. God is amazing. You know, miracles happen in amazing ways. And I had no idea what was in store. It was the beginning of my ministry, and I had no idea. And I should say God's ministry for me. Because when I went there, my mother did pull me back a year. And I was in the school, and I was in the church, and I was connected with people. Well, come to find out, those people were coming and ministering in the school, and I ended up getting taught how to minister to those people, to those students, and share with them. And when they learned my connections, they really enjoyed working with me. I also became an honor roll student. I grew exponentially. And I can tell now, as I even think about it, how much the change was. Now, my sister ended up being pulled into that school too. We did get bullied in the very beginning. But there were students we had connected with that actually helped us, and we stood up with us. And from that point on, I was not bullied. I had a couple little tiffs, but come on, as a teenager, that's to be expected. You're going to have tiffs on occasion, right? And I was in my teen years. So by my 8th grade year, which would have technically been 9th grade, but I was pulled back a year, and I ended up having a really bad case of the flu and unable to go to school. And because of this, I was taken out of the running for going to the high school that I wanted to go to for theater and arts, which really was a bummer to me, but I didn't see it as a godsend. I now see it as God meant for things to be different and better for me. So the next year I ended up going to the local high school. And by this time I was very into church. Church was what helped me and kept me alive, literally. I learned prayer, I learned giving Thanksgiving, and I taught it to children. So I also learned about travels to different countries. By this time, I could speak Swahili, French, German, and Spanish. I was in a multicultural immersion program. Now, mind you, my German is really weak because I haven't practiced it. Spanish, I'm really strong at only because I went and lived in Mexico for some time. And I love one Spanish lady. She's from Spain. And she said, no, you know Mexico Spanish. You don't know Spanish, Spain Spanish. I'm like, there's a difference. Who knew? That's how I learned from that. And that was back after school, after I graduated. So anyhow, by my junior year, I was doing great. I knew that I wanted to go to the islands, which are U.S. territory. And I knew that I wanted to have a life of my own. Now, I had been already through a bit, my mother being very strict and so on. And I did not realize the strength of this and how much it would cause issues and friction. So I was going to church, and I had never experienced any isolation, but there was some. I learned later that there was stuff going on even in that particular area. I just was too young to see it. And I was treated nicely. I wasn't, they were mixing the high school and the college together. So it was kind of like that little friction there of, age groups. But because of their mixture, I actually was able to connect better with the college group. And even though I was mentally not college material, I still was mentally. If you communicate as a child, you're still innocent no matter what. And even as an adult, I feel that still, if you communicate simply, you can either be a friend or a foe, a connection or a bully. And sometimes people you think are connection, you discover really are actually bullies in disguise. And that's what I learned. Because that church, later on, what happened is that I ended up going to work at a retail place that no longer exists. But I got pushed together with a guy that I absolutely hated. We got in a fight within a very short time after being on the floor with each other on the retail floor. And lo and behold, he ended up having to take me everywhere because my parents liked him. They thought, oh, he can take her places and then she can be out whenever. And I had to be in when the streetlights were on before he came around. So now, mind you, one of the biblical principles is honor thy father and thy mother as the days may be long upon the land which the Lord giveth thee. It's the fifth commandment. However, there are certain clarifications on this. For as much as you honor them, they need to honor you as a child and listen to you and understand you and respect you in your thoughts and your ideas, and then give you guidance accordingly, not dictate, which is what I learned was you get dictated to and that's what you do. You don't question or answer back, And that's what ended up happening in this very, very bad relationship. So he ended up starting to take me to church. Yeah. He took me to his family's church, which I learned to despise because I know what they stand for. Even though people don't know that they stand for this, they stand for it. And I'm not going to go into that church because I'm in a different... They only responded to certain people. I was definitely an outsider. When he went to my church, he was treated as a regular. But then he started to be a bully. He started to show his true colors. And by the time it was said and done, the minister said, "I'm sorry, but this was her church first. You need to go." So he was outcasted from that church. Later, he said he got outcasted from the other church. And I'm like, probably because of your demeanor and your attitude. But that's not the same story. By the way, he was a bully. He still is a bully. But that's another story. So I got ousted. I was pulled from that church completely and basically told not to come back because of him. It took a long time to happen, but every time he was coming in and looking and telling people he knew I was there and to cough me up. So I ended up being told not to come back for my safety. So I ended up going to the Holy Catholic Church. And I loved the Holy Catholic Church. Treated me with respect, and I treated the people with respect and prayer and honor and glory. And something I remember with that church, my late husband took me to his church down in Mexico. Now, mind you, I'm good at my Spanish, but I got to the point where I was like, okay, God, I surrender. I surrender everything. I don't understand, but you are going to allow my heart to hear your words, and you're going to give me the input that you need me to hear, period, in this story. And it worked. I was blessed beyond all comprehension. And I think that's part of what I think is so beautiful about people listening to other language, like Deutsch and English, and the combination. You have to listen carefully, open your heart so you can hear. So I think it's beautiful because of that, because you get a true essence of the Holy Spirit. So that one was beautiful. And in a long distance setting, it was great. I was basically asked to go because my service dog got his tail against this one church was old pews, and most of them have old pews, and he wagged his tail and it made a really loud noise. And under normal circumstances, it would have been okay, I guess, but this was on Christmas Eve to Christmas Day, one of the holiest days, and they basically got upset that I brought him to church, and I told him I can't be judged by that. Thank you. And I never went back. Then this other church that I attended, where my second late husband and I reconnected. Now, we connected first. We discovered through different things that we connected back in that church from the youth. Remember, I talked about the high school and college? He was in the college group and I was in the high school group. Go figure. I knew in my heart that one of those guys was going to be my husband. I just didn't know which one. So anyhow, when we started going to that church together, it was great, except for at the very end, when he passed, I was no longer allowed. They start passing judgment. So I was taken off of that. Now, I found this live chat with Our Power, as I mentioned before. Here comes full circle. And I fell in love. I was connecting with people. Now, I've been on that live chat for, I'd say about a year. Yeah, year to a year and a half. Anyhow, it's been through, it had one really good moderator. She was a sweetheart. She heard from the heart. She celebrated. She prayed from the heart. She encouraged people to talk from the heart. And now other moderators have come on. And now they've decided who can speak, who can't, how you can do it, etc. And I just was like, this isn't right. They blacklisted us. And they blacklisted anybody who comments towards us. Now, I got wise on this because I only have 5 channels. I wrote them out because I was like, what's going on? Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. And if you'd like, I think I'm going to leave a link in the description after this. I'm going to leave a link for you to be able to connect with me on these other, because you might actually enjoy it. Okay. I have an ASMR channel. I have this channel. I have a cooking and crafting channel, which I don't have anything on as of right now, simply because I haven't figured out what I want to post on it yet. And then I have a dogs and cats of the area channel that's been going like crazy. And then I have one for doing my theatrics and sharing different personalities and so on, which I also don't think I have anything on that one either, now that I think about it. Anyhow, I'll leave you connections on there just so that you can connect and you can share your thoughts. But the whole point is that openness. Feeling freedom to be able to connect. Okay? I want you to be able to feel freedom to connect here. If you want to do social media connection, if you want to do email connection, and I'm talking primarily, it's been requested for Instagram, as I mentioned before, as well as email, as I mentioned before. And neither one of those cost anything, and there's an easy way to connect. And if your English isn't your primary language, that's okay. And my whole point is a total of acceptance, because it's biblical to always be of loving acceptance of all people, non-judgmental, but showing Christ-like love. Now, something that people have mentioned to me is religion. Oh my goodness, I could go into this religion aspect. I have been through a handful, literally, of different religious beliefs. Now, religion is man-made. God wants just a relationship, and that's from the heart. He doesn't care about the religion as long as your heart's in the right place. So that's why I'm so open to people's. It's like, where's your heart? Because sometimes your personality comes off as something is going on for you and you're not speaking it. Now, I'm not a counselor yet. I've been asked about being a peer counselor, but I'm still not sure about it. I've been given different opportunities for different things. So I want to hear from you. I want you to comment anything that comes to you. If you don't like me going live, say you don't like me going live, but I'm going live per request. Okay? And I am willing to do this on a regular basis. Just let me know below. And I'll be happy to do like each Tuesday for X amount of time. But I had to address this bullying thing and share my vulnerability as well. And say, come on, let's communicate here. Let's share here, because it's open season. Open to communication, loving on one another, uplifting one another, encouraging one another, and praying for one another. God bless you all. Take care.